Hey Maker, in this video I'm going to walk you through the steps I took to shoot this skincare shelfie scene. If this is your first time joining me, hey, I'm Christina Nicole, product photography coach for makers. This video is part of a start to finish series, so if you want to walk through the entire shooting process with me, make sure you grab a link in the description below for the playlist for this entire series. So for this shoot, I am using an entry-level DSLR camera, and I have it Bluetooth to my computer so that I can see inside of the camera. Couple steps that we want to take prior to shooting the actual photos, no matter if you're using a smartphone or a DSLR camera. Step one is going to make sure that your lens is clean, especially if you're using a smartphone. You handle that phone all day long. There's fingerprints, dirt hitting your lens. Make sure you clean your lens prior to shooting. I also recommend using a tripod and a Bluetooth shutter release. This is the one I have for my DSLR camera. If you're using a smartphone, this is a great option because it helps keep your image stabilized. Just holding your phone or tapping your phone to capture the photo can create a little bit of movement, which can make your images look soft or blurry. So for the best sharpness, make sure you're using a tripod and a Bluetooth shutter release. The second reason I highly recommend using a tripod and Bluetooth shutter release is if you are going to be shooting multiple products. So I do have two different types of facial oil that I purchased from this company, so I'll be shooting both of those. So it just makes it super simple to go ahead, set up the tripod, set up the camera, and then we're just plug and playing the products into the scene. The third reason it's great is because you can go ahead and you can set up the frame, you can make sure all of your lines are straight, you can get everything perfect in camera prior to shooting, and this really is going to save you a lot of time in the long run. It's going to minimize the amounts of edits you have to do, and a lot of times it's actually going to prevent you from having to reshoot the product. So let's jump right into it. After cleaning your lens, setting up your tripod, you're going to go ahead and frame your actual setup. You want to move in as close as you can, especially if you're shooting with a smartphone. If you're shooting with a smartphone, anytime you have to crop out a lot of the image to frame it properly in editing, you're going to be removing pixels, which is data and information that will decrease the overall quality of your image. So make sure you always move in as close as you can, frame the image properly, but make sure you're leaving space around the product and considering the platforms and the aspect ratios you'll be using with those platforms. After that, we want to make sure that we're properly exposing the image. So on a smartphone, you can move your finger up and down to adjust your exposure, left and right, depending on the type of model that you're using, but typically it's just a slider or an easy swipe to make those exposure adjustments. Since I'm using a DSLR camera, I am manually setting that exposure, and because I'm using natural light, my sun is shifting a little bit, so I'm just going to adjust the shutter speed a little bit here to see what exposure I am going to play with. I actually think I like the one, let me see the one over 80 again. So I like the look of the one over 80, but again, I'm kind of on a smaller screen here and I'm going to be making some additional adjustments later. So I tend to always lean toward just slightly underexposing to make sure I've got a lot of white in this photo or light colors in this photo, and I want to make sure I'm not blowing out those details. And then you want to make sure you're setting focus on your product, not letting the camera guess. Actually, I do like that better. And then you're going to set that focus and you're going to capture the image. And those are the simple steps I take every time I go to shoot product photos. See you next time.